Hello, everyone. Hey, Sunny. How's the audio? Man, LA is just going wild right now. I'm streaming on my other channel, but there were some protests and there was some protesting, and next thing you know, it just turned to rioting. I'm not surprised it turned to rioting. Hopefully, we can get Hidden on here so Hidden can give us an update. I'm sure he's in the middle of all of it. But yeah, I'm just hopping on, man. We need to pray for LA, and it's just crazy the chaos that's going on. Um, I know the Marines. The Marines are on their way out there, so we'll see how all that goes. I'm just getting everything set up, so excuse me if I sound a little distracted. They're protesting against ICE. They're tired of ICE deporting people. Yeah, the immigration deportation. So yeah, it's. I'm sure it's not everybody, but there's some people that are just lighting cars on fire, destroying police cars. I think the Marines are probably like 20 minutes away. Yeah, Harvey, it's all over, man. There's just a lot of chaos going on in LA right now, and I get that people want to protest and they want to, use their freedom of speech, but several, three. Last time I checked, there was three cars that were not only vandalized but lit on fire. The American flag is upside down. Um, People are just, as you can see right here, standing on top of a police car, um, waving another flag, and it's just, man, there's voicing your opinion, and then there's just total anarchy, and I don't think this benefits or gets the point of across. I mean, what's going to happen when the Marines show up? I don't think anyone's going to really stay right there. Yeah, guys, I saw this all over my YouTube feed, and I just wanted to go live to talk about the kind of big picture behind these kinds of things. Um, I think all this is a sin issue. I think I think nobody's gonna have true peace until they have Jesus in their lives, and I would say there's probably a select few of people that are there to actually protest and speak about things, and there's a select few there that are just wanting to just wild out and do riots, and man, they're like busting out. I don't know if these are self-driving police vehicles in LA, but they're vandalizing them, spray painting all over them, breaking out all the windows. It's just wild. But I wanted to hop on here and cover what's going on. And just ask for you guys just to pray for LA. Yeah. Yeah, this is what's going on in the state I live in. This is probably about 3.5 hours from me. It's sad to see this going on in the state I live in, and just like I've seen people walking around with the flag upside down, just no respect. And as you can see, vandalism, lighting cars on fire. It's just wild. It's just absolutely wild. There's a lot of people covering it. Seems like people are taking turns standing on top of the defaced police car, and they're just mocking it. They're each taking turns getting pictures of it, smashing it. A lot of people are wearing masks to hide their identity. Like, how is this anarchy just able to happen? It's just wild. Yeah, Sonny, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I went to Sonny, I went to a church for 6.5 years where I was told that all white people are wrong. We all have white privilege. And I used to, as a young person in my 20s, I would just be kind of like a pushover in that regard. And all this stuff creeped into the church that I was attending. And, if you were white, you were supposed to be the last person to speak, especially a white male. And anytime I tried to talk about like how I grew up rough or in group homes and abandoned and that kind of stuff, like it didn't matter because I was white and I had white privilege according to them. And it was just it's just crazy. I'm actually just blown away. Like I didn't even expect to go live. I didn't even expect to go live right now. And I'm doing this on my other channel. I'm trying to get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers so I can spread the gospel on YouTube. You guys know my mission already. But this is not the way to share. I mean, to flee a country, to go to another country that welcomes you, and then to do these kinds of things, it's just wild. Like, this is not a peaceful protest. This is not a desire to do a peaceful protest. This is just like anarchy. So it looks like they have the police kind of sectioning off these areas. They're probably trying to contain it. A lot of people are asking, where the Marines are, but it looks like the police are starting to close off some certain areas. Here, Paunch, I've worked on countless job sites. Oh, it looks like they're firing tear gas. Looks like there's a bunch of rubble all around right here. I'm pretty sure people are throwing things at them. You can see it all on the ground. The protesters, the rioters at this point, I don't even think we should call them protesters. The rioters, see, they're facing off, and there's peaceful protesting, and then there's trying to fight against the police. Look at all this stuff on the ground here from people throwing stuff. Most job sites that I've worked, not most, but there's been many job sites that I've worked where there's many people that are illegal, that have told me straight up how they've illegally crossed the border, and they have no respect for white people. They have no respect for America. Yeah, it's crazy. I know a lot. I used to be involved in a lot of grassroots organizing, doing political policy advocating, and I've seen ways of where people go door to door and they get people to sign up and vote and these kinds of things. And I mean, California has definitely brought this on itself, and this is why a lot of people are moving out of California. Oh yeah, for sure, Sonny. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and Sonny, most people, so check this out. Most of the people that were pushing, these kinds of things in church, most of them, um, they're no longer Christians. They're no longer married to their spouses. Um, they've come out and said that, you know, they don't like white people. And I've endured this kind of stuff for years here in California, and the churches that I've gone through, it's so prevalent in my town. And you know, a lot of these people are supporting like pride parades and feminism, and pretty much like anyone that's white, they want to just like get rid of, especially white males. They don't want you to talk at all because we're just a bunch of privileged people. But I don't know how anyone thinks this is right. But I believe there was, I think there was a statistic of Mexican males, Mexican males. I'm part Mexican, and I'm Filipino, so I can talk about other people besides white people. And um, 3 out of 5, I think, Mexican males voted for Trump. And because I think they were just like, you know what, we're here to work. They're probably tired of all the bull crap. The stuff that's getting forced in public schools and all these kinds of things. Yeah, Biden and Harris directly for this. I mean, man, all I've even invited people over to my house that were supposed to be Christian, and they just totally criticize. They'll just talk about white privilege just right there. And to me, the reason why I'm saying pray for LA, because it's not a the biggest issue that it is it's a sin issue, and people that are rioting, throwing things at the police, lighting cars on fire. Multiple cars have been lit on fire. So many vehicles have been vandalized, and looks like they're shooting off tear gas, in the direction of where the rioters are at to get them to leave. But a lot of these people, as you can see, they have masks on, so they're ready for this. They know that the tear gas and all that stuff's coming. So if you're just tuning in, there was a lot of protesters in downtown LA amid ICE raids and that kind of stuff. So they're protesting it, but a lot of the people started rioting, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy to see this stuff going on in the state I live in. And the reason why I went live on this channel instead of the other channel is because I wanna have a channel that's a little more free to just be me. And I'm praying, like, I don't know why there's just like these people here, and it's like they're just ready for war. Yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it as well, Sonny. Like, I'm tired of it. I can't tell you how many churches I've gone to, and from the pulpit even, this stuff's creeping into churches of just white people need to be quiet, white males need to, yeah, let's cool heads prevail. We just pray, man. These are just signs. These are signs of the end times. This type of stuff is just signs of the end times. It says that the Antichrist, he'll be known as like a lawless person. So it says, these signs, and then it talks about a lawless person coming. So like, here you can see a lot of people that are protesting. Looks like a lot of police officers are showing up now. See, these are the vehicles that are lit on fire, completely demolished. If I was for peaceful protesting, and people started lighting off all these fires and all these kinds of things, I would be like, okay, this is clearly being hijacked. I would leave. There's still a lot of people right there around the fires, standing on top of police vehicles. Just completely no respect for America. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. Well, yeah, Marcy, yeah, I hear you, the Epstein files. But the strategic thing that I'm seeing here is police um, responding. Looks like they're shooting a bunch of tear gas. They're emptying the canisters. So the strategy here is a lot of people that were protesting, but regardless of Trump, and going to LA and this kind of stuff, like Trump went to LA, and what about the fires? What about the fires? They couldn't even stop the fires, like why would Trump need to get involved in California to get them to take care of the fires? And this peaceful protest that's going on right now, supposed peaceful protest, they're vandalizing multiple vehicles, lighting cars on fire. This is an absolute tragedy. The police, they finally barricaded off an area, and they're kind of making their way through, pushing these no longer protesters but rioters back. And this is just what's going on right now in downtown LA. And yeah, it's just absolute madness. A lot of people have masks on to conceal their identity. Yeah, I totally don't take um, any consideration for linking this to some type of Epstein files and retaliation towards. This is just blatant rioting, lighting cars on fire, and um, destroying American government property. And for what? If you guys are just tuning in, this is what's currently going on in LA. It's just a tragedy. Police vehicles are being smashed, tagged, lit on fire. Multiple vehicles have been burned. Multiple vehicles have been vandalized, spray painted, and yeah, it's just wild. This is probably about 3 to 3.5 hours from me. I have a sibling that lives in LA. Hopefully, hidden. Raphael can jump on here and give us an update. What's going on? Suresh, we're doing good over here on this side of the world in California. If you can see on the video, there was a protesting in downtown LA. Marcy, I don't know, trying to follow your point of view. You're talking about Epstein files when there's people rioting and burning up police vehicles. It's supposed to be peaceful protesting. You're saying thank you for taking away our freedoms. Thank you for ripping up the Constitution, Trump. This has nothing to do with Trump. This is people protesting ICE, but many people are rioting and defacing government property. So people can speak their point of view. Everyone has the freedom of speech. People can voice their opinions, but we have to acknowledge, looks like 5 vehicles have burned to the ground. 5 vehicles have burned to the ground. And this is going on in LA. So I don't think there's any fear of any distraction. For me, like, as a Christian, this is not the way to handle these kinds of things. As you can see, multiple vehicles are being lit up on fire, and I don't know why you're blaming Donald Trump for rioters vandalizing government property. like people need to take accountability for the things that they do, and there's protesting and then there's straight up rioting. So are you a Christian that supports billionaires? I'm a Christian that reads Romans 13. I read Romans 13 and it says to follow the laws of the land. You have to follow the laws of the land. And people are protesting ICE because they are losing family members that unfortunately came to America illegally. They broke the law. They came here illegally, and they're being deported. And if that was my family member, I am part Mexican. I'm a quarter Latino and Hispanic, and a quarter Filipino and half white. So I do see these things. I have spoken with uncles who are like wildly Democrat, and I didn't grow up with my family. I grew up in the system. So because my family abandoned me. So I do get a lot of my morals and principles from the Bible, and I try to be as rational and sympathetic as I can in these kinds of in every matter of life. But when people protest and they start rioting and destroying things and tagging up things, like, not only are those people well, there's two things. ICE is deporting people that are illegal and they came here illegally. So they're overstaying their visa, or they're just breaking into the country and staying here. So what do you do about that? Is the correct thing to do is have an open policy. Trump, so here's the thing. Trump and Biden, those were the two options for the American people. Biden dropped out, and then it was Harris, which is the VP of Biden. So it's an offshoot of Biden. So for Christians, they're put in a situation of, do they vote for a Democrat or a Republican? Do they vote for Trump or Biden and Harris and J.D. Vance? And so they were put in this situation of like, who do they vote for? Most Christians who love Jesus, they don't vote Democrat because they don't want to support abortion. They don't want to support the genocide on unborn babies. So that's why many Christians won't, because in one of the commandments says, you shall not murder, you shall not do those kinds of things. And so while we're for helping people, the Bible says take care of orphans and widows. That's undefiled religion. Many of us will never vote for a Democrat because of the stuff that they're pushing, and it's getting so wild with the public schools. So that's one reason why we don't vote for Democrats. Is Trump, a God-honoring, God-fearing man? Not entirely. We think that he's working on him. I don't know if I can say he's fully saved. I've seen a really changed person in him. There's showing a little bit of integrity, where that he cannot be bought over by money, because the world's richest man was trying to push Trump to keep, the solar. He didn't want him to attack his solar and the benefits and the tax write-offs, because that would affect Tesla. But Trump, he stuck to what he was going to do, and he's like, hey, I appreciate you helping me, So he had to cut ties with Elon, and that's what we're seeing with the back and forth right now. And but if you guys are just tuning in right now, LA, it went from protesting the ICE, what ICE is doing, ICE raids and this kind of stuff, deporting illegal immigrants, and a lot of people are upset because they're, family members. They don't really care. A lot of the people are just like, hey, that's my family. Um, and what can happen is when you start thinking with your feelings, it's like a kind of a like a teeter totter. When you stop thinking about when your feelings are high, your rationality is low, right? Your thought process is low. So in order to calm down, you have to allow yourself, 30 minutes or so to calm down, and then you can start being rational again. But if you're full of your feelings, your amygdala gets full of blood, and it's all these endorphins. All this adrenaline starts dumping, and you're being led by your feelings. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, right? We've all been there of in that fight or flight response, and just doing something that we regret, saying something, or perhaps even escalating. So things need to calm down, and we have to allow things to subside a little bit and then be rational once again. So when we calm down and we start being rational again, we have to ask, like, hey, should a country have open borders for all people, or should a country have laws and regulations? Like, should everyone just be allowed to come and go into our country? Well, no, you can't do that, because you need to keep people safe. So with the border, a lot of people are breaking in. They're illegally crossing the border here in into California. This is where I live. I live in California. I'm speaking as a native here. I'm born and raised here. And there's millions of illegal immigrants that are here, and our state supports that. They allow people to stay, and so people start having kids and all this kind of stuff, but they're being deported. So this is causing like a lot of people to get full of feelings, and fight or flight. You're taking our families away. They don't care about the law. They don't care. Like, they do care about the law, but in that moment, their families being taken away from them. So this is why you're kind of seeing these things of just like violence. You're seeing rioting. You're seeing cars being burned up. We saw earlier 5 police vehicles just burned up, smashed, and tagged up. So for me as a native here, who does share ethnic roots with both, white as well as Latino and Hispanic, I used to try to, like, be a bridge, builder between both, and reconcile people. But I think most importantly, as a Christian, it says in Romans 13, we need to follow the laws of the land. So we can't represent God well if we're not honoring the laws of the land. So I know most people aren't Christians, and so, like, my thought process may be a little bit different, but typically I try to see things and through the lens of how would Jesus respond, what would Jesus do. So here, I think a lot of people that are being violent, rioting, protesting, they need Jesus, man, because only Jesus can take that thrill and that desire to do these kinds of things. So if you guys are new here, I'm just covering, the protest that's turned into rioting in downtown LA. This is about 3 to 3.5 hours from me. Yeah, it's wild. I'm not surprised, that these things are going on. This isn't the only thing going on in the world. Things are worse, and they're going to continue to get worse. The channel that I'm getting the video from, it, they seem to I can't share the audio or I'll get copyrighted or flagged, but this seems to be the best one of coverage. I wanted to find you guys the best one before jumping on. So let me turn to some of the comments here. Yeah, Lovey Tim says illegal immigrants should be deported. However, it should be pathways to citizenship. I will pray for them. Yeah, you know, there's pathways to citizenship. There's pathways for people to rightfully become legal citizens here. And to say that there should be pathways would state that there isn't pathways for citizenship, and there is pathways for citizenship. There's always been pathways for citizenship. Look, they're just a bunch of people are just rioting. They're uniting to riot, and they're breaking things down. Taxpayers have to pay, you know, for the upkeep of the city, and like some people, they just like they'll go with the cause, but they have their own agenda to riot and do these kinds of things. We've seen this kind of stuff before. Yeah, Josh, like, yeah, I do strongly believe that California has brought this on themselves. Lovey says most make American great again don't follow the laws. Well, I think that would be counterintuitive for someone trying to make America great to not follow the laws. Are you saying all people that voted for Trump don't follow the laws? Yeah, there's peaceful protesting, and then there's people, you know, rioting and these kinds of things, and that's not how people should be going about it. Yeah, it's the defense of this behavior is wild, Paunch. You are 100% correct. Christian Della says, this is not the LA riots. These people are for real. Trump is an idiot. He does not know that by violating the 5th and 14th Amendment, he can get away with it. I don't fully understand your grammar of what you're trying to say. I'll try to reflect on what you just said and see if I can make that make sense. But, so like, check this out. I can say like that I'm offended by something, you know, that you know, I feel a certain way, but to like riot, for people to riot and then to say, oh, that's Donald Trump's fault, like when people are vandalizing and destroying government property, that doesn't make any sense. Looks like this video is freezing. See if I can refresh this here. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna plug in an Ethernet cord. I should be back in about 1 minute. Let's see if we can get this. Christian, give me a second. I'll respond. Okay, looks like we're back in business. Let's get it back to the live. Sweet. Well, they're destroying government property by breaking vehicles and that's not the correct way on how to handle. Just because someone's tired, if someone violently attacked me because they said they were tired, like, that's not a proper excuse. You're saying just because someone's tired, they can violently break laws, destroy government property. Just because someone's tired does not give people the right to do whatever they want. So that's not a good that's not really a good point. Looks like this froze again. Yeah, Ponch, you're right. Can I blame another for my actions? No, we have to take total ownership of every decision and choice that we make. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm trying to spread the good news of the gospel on here. So, like, yeah, Christian, I would ask, like, my name's Christian as well, so I know we have quite the name to live up to. You know, the Bible says that in Romans 13 that we're supposed to follow the laws of the land. So, like, even Christians who submit to God, you know, God tells us in Romans chapter 13 to submit to governing authorities. God says that people in these governing authorities God allows them to be there. So for a country to have safe borders and to protect its citizens, they have to offer, you know, they allow immigrants to come in, but they have to do it the right way. And when people come here illegally, you know, what must be done with that? Well, with California, hugely democratic, they don't care. They want the vote, and they'll do whatever it takes. And so, what it seems radical that the step that Trump's taking, but just because California is operating a certain way, most of the American people, most of the states, they voted for Trump. And 3 out of 5, I can say this because I'm part Mexican. 3 out of 5 American males, I mean Mexican American males, they voted for Trump, bro. Because I think they're tired of all the stuff going on in the school systems. They're tired of, you know, they're hearing like, whoa, we're not going to be taxed. You know, they want a president to put its citizens first. So what we're seeing here is, you know, is it lawful for a country? See, as you can see, they're throwing stuff at highway patrol cars. They're throwing stuff off bridges and smashing highway patrol vehicles. You know, they're wearing masks. They're hiding their identity. More than about 5 police vehicles have been lit on fire. This is not okay. But Christian, you have to ask yourself this. Is there a massive amount of people who have broken the laws? Is there a mass amount of people who have broken laws and who have come here illegally? And Ismael Lopez, the guy with the wonderful vocabulary, He said immigrants can't vote. So people that come, you can get like a temporary visa, or you can get temporary citizenship. You can say that you're fleeing asylum, you're being asylees, which you're fleeing your country, but then you have to prove it. But they allow you to stay here. So here in California, Ismail, you can receive medical, you can receive benefits, you can get welfare. And how do I know this? Because I'm a native here. I'm from here. And so people can receive temporary citizenship and they can vote. And we have millions of immigrants here in America. So if we have, in California, if there's millions of immigrants in California, then if there's deportations of people that are illegally here, California would be a place for mass deportation because there's millions of illegal immigrants here. To be illegal in another country, there's no other country like America that would even allow this kind of stuff. So if we were to try to go illegally live in Mexico or somewhere else, we would get booted out super quick. So breaking the law, if there's a law for going into a country, you have to follow the customs of that country. If I were to go to France or Germany or Spain, and I were to go in there and not follow the customs of that country, I would therefore be breaking a law. So that's the issue that's going on. If a country does not protect its own borders, then the citizens aren't safe. So, but what do we see? We're seeing multiple, last time we checked, there was 5 police vehicles that were not only vandalized, spray painted, destroyed, they were also lit on fire, blowing up. There's people all around, and they're throwing a bunch of rocks and stuff onto the highway, hitting highway patrol cars. So this isn't just a protest, this is rioting. Sonny says the major problem is the ISIS and Taliban members, that they are flying into Mexico and bring them across the border along with MS-13 gang members. You follow the rules to come here. Simple. Yeah, I think anyone that's going into any country, and also the citizens of that country, should follow the laws of the land. So if you guys are just tuning in, there was protests in LA amid ICE raids, and quickly turned into rioting, destroying police vehicles. They're setting up barricades to kind of withstand the tear gas. They're not complying. They're not standing down. They are standing their ground. And, we see a ton of, how many police vehicles should be vandalized, spray painted, and lit on fire. There was 5 that were lit on fire, blew up, and a ton of other vehicles. I have to ask and question, like, how many of these people are, civil servants that are hard workers at their jobs. Like, for me, like, taking care of my family, I'm not going to go out there and just be like going toe to toe with the police and throwing bricks at them and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, the Marines, let's see, I've been streaming here for quite a while. The Marines should have been showing up already. Before I jumped on the stream, the Marines were supposed to be, they were about 45 minutes out, so apparently they should be showing up at any time, but it looks like the police are kind of pushing the rioters back, but they are also, the firefighters are here. They're putting out some of the burned down vehicles. So this is in LA. I'm not aware of any deaths yet, Kumar. I think So like, I think everyone that comes to America, they're who become citizens. Um, they're supposed to say that, like, hey, they're gonna have respect for America, the American flag, and put it first. So like, this guy's the firefighter's here putting out the car, and he's going up with a Mexico flag, and he's just like in his face, like Mexico, and like I'm part Hispanic and Latino and Filipino, and I'm white, so like I understand having like cultural pride. Um, I understand that, but as an American, um, we're supposed to, have respect for our country. We're not supposed to attack the police. We're not supposed to burn things down. And this is what we're seeing here in LA. This isn't protesting. This is just straight up um, anarchy against the government. This is rioting. Um, Taxpayer dollars, fund all these government vehicles and these kinds of things. So like, before they burn these vehicles down, they're like stomping on them, smashing out the windows, spray painting all over them. It's just wild. Let me check out some of your guys' comments here. It's all cloudy right now. The firefighters are putting out the fire, so got a bunch of smoke. Well, Christian, if you live here in America, he's your president too. Just like Biden was all of our president too at some point, and Bush and Clinton and everyone. So like, um, some of the things that Trump said, especially like in his first term, like I thought were childish. Like just like being on Twitter too much, and just like he was using freedom of speech, right? And but a president should be more, diplomatic and those kinds of things. Um, a lot of the times, it's just you're voting for the worser of two evils, right? Um, so for most people that are like of the Christian faith, they're not going to ever support. Most won't support a Democratic Party because of the like abortion and the genocide, or the genocide on unborn babies. They'll never support that because the Bible's totally against that. In fact, there's like Baal, who's a demonic figure, um, who does support those kinds of things. And um, there's so many things I can talk about biblically. I will speak to you guys from a Christian perspective, and where do I get my thought process on? And in Romans 13 it says to follow the laws of the land. So I think our country does a good job about helping people that are seeking asylum, people where their countries are being overtaken, they're being bombed. We help them out a lot. It breaks my heart that families are being split up. You know, if you guys have been around my channel for a while, you know that I didn't grow up with my family. I was abandoned, and I lived in the system. I'm a native of California, so I know California pretty well. And this is happening about 3 to 3.5 hours away from me, so I could literally be there in a few hours, which is tempting because I would love to go share the gospel down there. But yeah, guys, pray for LA. No, I don't. I don't agree with it, Christian, about the hateful rhetoric and that kind of stuff. No. Let me look at some of your guys' comments. I'm someone who likes to dialogue, and want you guys know I care about how you feel and what you have to say. So, like, I like this flag here. It's showing the American flag and the Mexican flag. Like, I understand that you can be like, as someone who's multi-ethnic, like, I totally get it. Like, you want to support your culture, so I'm totally with that. But some people are walking around with like or American flags upside down, like forget this country, um, which isn't cool. So like if you're living here, you should have like respect for the country you live in. So this person here, Q, they said this isn't anarchy, and then here they go, bleeping dumb a. LA is resisting federal overreach by ICE and the federalization of the National Guard. This is justified. Hey guys, burning down 5 cars, vandalizing in the city, fighting against police, throwing things at police vehicles, highway patrol vehicles, vandalism, and rioting. That is justified. This is the thought process of some people. This is justified uprising against the corrupt government. I'm sorry, you cannot be violent against the government. You can't do that. That's not cool. Christian, what about the segregation of groups? Absolutely not, especially any political law and those kinds of things. What's going on, Lisa? Anything, if there's any law, any type of, redlining or thing that oppresses any ethnic group, I'm totally against that. And I would vote against that. I would speak up about those kinds of things. So, however, we cannot call this a protest. It's currently going on right now, Troy, in LA. Well, there's ways to show how you feel, Q, and everyone has the freedom of speech here. You don't have the freedom of violence, the freedom to attack the government, to burn down police vehicles. And what you see is a lot of people are walking around with American flags that are upside down. They're just like, screw America, and they're walking around with Mexican flags. Like, you saw the guy standing in front of the firefighter trying to put out a fire. He's up in his face. So this is currently going on in LA, making barricades to stand in resistance against the police force, not backing down. And for the people that are coming on here and cussing at me and calling me, dumb and cussing and all this kind of stuff, you won't see me doing that. I'm being super civil. I'm being rational. Okay? I'm being rational. Should a country have completely open borders? Is that safe for the citizens within? No. Not in any country. There's no other country that does that other than America. We have millions of illegal immigrants in California. I think there's around 38 million people that live in California. Once again, this is going down. Here is the rubble and ashes of several vehicles that were vandalized and burned down. You can kind of see one here, another one over here, just kind of all up and down the street. That's rioting. That's not protesting. That's not justified feelings. That's anarchy. Yeah, no, yep, you're true. That's true on that, yep. You can wave a flag or desecrate a flag, upside down and those kinds of things. Yeah, I like this right here. I like the American and Mexican flag. I like the respect of like America, like, hey, he's saying, his heart lies with, as a Mexican, it lies with America, but also Mexico. That's voicing your opinion, right? There's no mask hiding like his identity. There's no throwing things at the police. He's letting them know, like, hey, I understand that. I'm not saying you can't protest. What I'm saying is pray for LA, because there's people rioting and they're burning down vehicles. Yeah, Troy, I'm from California as well. Yeah, these are all signs. These are all signs of um, the end times, man. These are all signs for the end times. It's just gonna get worse and worse. That's why I'm trying to reach my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers, so I can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with people, because that's what's gonna change people. When people accept Christ in their heart, that's gonna change things. It's a sin issue. It's not a people issue. It's a sin issue. And me as a Christian, I'm not wishing any ill will on any of these people that are rioting. You just got to be careful with doing that kind of stuff, because when you're rioting and you're fighting against the police, and these things happen, tragedies and stuff, like, just don't bring the calamity on yourself. Jesus is King. Yes. Amen. Matico Dillard. Thank you. Thank you for your sub. I appreciate you, brother. Amen. Yeah, but Lisa, you're saying these people who are burning and trashing are probably not the protesters. So, like, um, what's going on is it's from within that group. So some things can start off with protest, but then there's rioting, right? I don't want us to like start jumping off and like start thinking, um, what's the correct way to. Uh, okay, let me just back up. People that there's a way to voice your opinion and those kinds of things, kind of like what this gentleman's doing, right? The police are walking forward now. They're all teamed up, and they're walking. So this guy's like, hey, he's probably chirping, he's probably talking, but he's walking backwards with his flag. He's not opposing them. So as they move forward, he's moving back, right? So, like, that's pretty risky. Um, he's kind of moving at their pace. But the people from within the protest, could be younger people, um, who just, they're upset. I was talking earlier about your amygdala filling up, your fight or flight response in your brain. And these people that are with the protesters, there's some that are escalating it to riots, okay? And they're burning down government property. Multiple vehicles, cars are blowing up in downtown LA right now. Firefighters are putting out the fires, and they're like standing in their face. So, I mean, total disrespect for the authority. Is it 100% of the people? No, it's not going to be 100% of the people. But it's from within. It's from within that group. So, yeah, you're right, Lisa. Yep, God is the only thing that can unify all of us. God is the only thing that can give us peace, give us direction. That's why my channel exists. I'm sharing the same worldview with you guys. I'm seeing all the things you guys are seeing as well. But what I'm doing, and I encourage you guys to do as well, is to, share Jesus. Jesus is the only thing that changed my life. I used to, as someone who grew up in the system, abandoned here in California, I was very angry and upset. And until I accepted Christ into my life, I didn't really change. But once I did accept Christ, that's where things changed in my life. I finally had security. I finally had peace. And it's funny because I'll talk to some people and they'll say, "Well, I'm half white, quarter Filipino, and the other quarter is a mixture of Latino, Hispanic." And some people are like, "Well, you're half white, so you got white privilege." And so, like, didn't matter all the abuse I incurred, all the trauma I went through. Like, it doesn't matter because I have white privilege. I can pull myself up by my bootstraps, And I've seen this in churches, and folks, this is just signs of the end times. Lawlessness, just fighting. Is there gonna be any perfect president? No. Absolutely not. I just know most Christians won't. Okay, we have a Palestine flag now. But most Christians have a hard time voting Democrat because of the abortion, the agenda being pushed on in schools. It's those kinds of things that they're kind of like, well, biblically we can't really vote for that. But I think a lot more people have a little more peace voting for someone like Trump because he's talking about, making warehouse jobs. He's talking about, reducing energy cost, bringing down, inflation, the all the debt that our country's in. He's putting America first, and it's a fight to do that. Look what's going on within America. There's hatred for the country. So. Will it ever be perfect? Is it ever going to work? No, it's not going to work. It may, help in some ways, but he's only going to be a president for what? Another few years and some change, like it's and then someone else is going to take office, and then someone else after them. But the Bible talks about it's going to be there's signs of the end times, right? We look at all these signs. It says that the Antichrist, he's going to be the lawless one. He's going to be doing all these miracles and stuff. He's going to deceive many people. And these are just signs. If we take a look at all these things going on, famines, sicknesses, government control. We saw that with COVID, mass control over the whole world. It's I'm processing all these things just like many of you. I use the Bible as my lens to look through, to make decisions, to pray about, pray for LA if you're watching this. Oh, the Haitians eating the cats and dogs thing. Yeah, so I looked into that whole thing, and basically where a lot of that came from was there was a city meeting, and a small town, a huge population inrush was from the Haitians. And was it all Haitians? No. But were there Haitians, killing, ducks and cats and dogs? Yes, there were some doing that. And it's not an either or, right? Like either they're all doing it or none of them are doing it. That's not the case. There was a small few, just like these rioters, right? It's not all the protesters. People went to protest, right? But then there was people who wanted to riot. So that whole Haitians thing, the whole Haitians thing, eating cats and dogs. No, there was a select few people that were doing those things, and it got brought up at a city meeting, okay? And there was people of all ethnic groups sharing stories and these concerns, okay? So, there's video footage of that meeting of people bringing it up in a peaceful way. They didn't riot, right? Now, like some of the thought process that some people have been commenting is that there's rightful, indignation of responding with violence, right? That's what some, I don't know if they're here anymore, but some people came and they commented and they were like, no, this is what happens. People are fed up, they're tired, they're responding with violence because they're tired. No, the people that had a concern about people eating the cats and dogs and all that kind of stuff. I know there was a lot of funny viral trends making fun of that statement, but they went to the city council meeting and they brought up their concerns, right? And videos were clipped from those meetings of people witnessing these things, people of all different ethnic groups. They shared peacefully, and that's how you do a peaceful protest. It did not turn into a violent thing like this of burning down multiple police cars, 5 that we saw here, 5 in a row just on fire burning. Looks like we got tear gas being shot. Looks like they're pushing people back. If you're just tuning in, this is down in LA, downtown LA, about 3 to 3.5 hours from me. We'll start off as a protest amid the ICE raids. Turned into a bit of a riot. And Matt Terasu says it's U.S., but why does that person flurry a different country flag? Isn't this wrong? So it looks like the concern is you're asking, hey, why is someone having a different flag? If it's America, they should have an American flag. Yeah, I would say, like, if you live in a country, you should probably represent that country, right? That's pretty much common sense, right? But not everyone does that, not everyone. There's a lot of people walking around with upside down American flags. So Newsom's meeting with local leaders. Oh, that happened 15 minutes from you, huh? Oh, so Sonny's a local there. Sonny's a local. He said they were also killing geese at local parks and cooking them on the park grills. 100% happened. LOL. I feel bad for the actual pets. Wow. And Matt says, if it were China or India, showing a different country flag in protest is similar to an act of treason. Why they are flaring these other flags? Do they want to separate the country? I think it's just what's going on is, there's protesting, if you guys are just tuning in downtown LA, which turned into rioting. There was 5 police vehicles that were vandalized and lit on fire. They were blowing up here that we saw a little while ago, and throwing rocks and all these things off the bridges onto the highway patrol vehicles. Protesting that turned into to rioting. So I think there's people that let's see here. Are more people throwing? Yep, they're just, look at all this stuff all across all around these highway patrol vehicles. They're just, a lot of people right here are just throwing stuff here. Totally vandalizing, all these vehicles. 5 vehicles were already burned and destroyed. Other vehicles vandalized, spray painted, windows broken out. What would you guys want if your car, the windows were broken out and your car was lit on fire and blown up? Would you want justice? Or would you say, no, I understand. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll just ride a bike to work. Yeah, it's there's protesting and then there's rioting. So what I'm trying to do here on this channel is just sharing with you guys a different lens on, what's currently going down in downtown LA, which is a few hours from me. I'm north of LA, a few hours here in the Central Valley in California. And, I saw this all over my threads on YouTube. I have another YouTube channel, and I went live here on this YouTube channel so I can cover more topics like this. And I'm asking for you guys to help me by subscribing. I'm trying to reach a goal of 1,000 subscribers, so I can share more and talk about these kinds of matters. And this is my response to this. Pray for LA, pray for the people there. People need Jesus, and before Jesus was in my life, I used to act in many different types of ways. But once Jesus comes into your life, you have a different outlook. For me, I read Romans 13, and it says to respect, the governing authorities. And that wasn't written in America. That was written thousands of years ago in another country. But those same principles can apply to all governments, right? Respect the government. If a country is hurting people and those kinds of things, I like how America provides a lot of open doors for people to flee, to seek asylum from these countries that are harming them. And there's a pathway to do that, to get here. People that will help, get these countries over there, and even get military from our country to go over there and to try to stop those things. So this is my response of, how do we respond when these things are happening here in California, these fires and all this the violence, attacking highway patrol vehicles. 5 vehicles not only vandalized, spray painted, but lit on fire. Other vehicles being destroyed and people standing on top of them. That's not protesting, that's rioting. Well, there's yeah. So if you guys are just tuning in, there's a protest going on in downtown LA. Sorry if I keep repeating myself here, but protest going on downtown LA turned into rioting. As you can see, like, oh gosh, they're breaking off the pole signs and they're throwing them at highway patrol vehicles. Like, guys, we gotta use common sense here and just say, like, it's not right to vandalize. And this is not peaceful protesting. This isn't protesting. This is law breaking. This is law breaking. This is rioting. And how many vehicles are allowed to be lit on fire? 5. And there's groups of people around there. The vehicles were exploding. People were running. And like, that's wrong. We have to, like, if that does not seem wrong to you, if that seems okay, if that seems justified, no, I'm sorry. Just because you're tired, just because you're angry or you're upset, it's not justified to act in violence. It's not okay to destruct things. Yeah, so like let me help break that down. Yeah, Christian, you're saying what about Bible verses like where it says love thy neighbor? Yeah, so it says this in the Bible. It says love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? So can you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? You know, you can break those down individually, right? But what it's saying in the Bible is love God with your all. Give God your all. And then what does it say? Love your neighbor as yourself, right? And if you're going to quote the Bible, you got to know that there's 66 books. There's 39 in the Old Testament and 27 in the New. And you have to cross reference, right? We can't open up a book and pick one little paragraph and out of its context, right? We can't just turn to chapter 17 and say, oh, this paragraph here means this. No, you got to read it in its whole context. So it says, love your neighbor as yourself. And for people, since you're bringing up the Bible, it says in Romans 13, follow the laws of the land. So Christians believe that the Word of God is inerrant, and that we should follow it. It's good for teaching and leading you. So if you're bringing up the Bible, you're supposed to live it all out completely. So it looks like the mayor, this was earlier, the mayor was meeting and discussing, that she's trying to, deal with these things. I think she was pretty much just blaming Trump, that she was trying to avoid this from happening. But, I mean, if we remember the fires, right? Like the fires were going on. Nothing happened. They were releasing up tons and tons of water back into the ocean instead of using it to combat the fires, which is wild. There was a lot of catastrophes from that. One of my brothers lives in LA, so it was super close to his house. I was like, let me know if you need to come up here, to the Central Valley. But he was getting ready. He had stuff packed up. He saw the fire getting closer to his home. So, like, just because my brother went through that, I didn't go riot and destroy a bunch of things. So, if you guys are just tuning in, there was protests in downtown LA amid ICE raids, right? Kind of a response of protest of, not wanting people to, oh my gosh. There's bicycles, like car bumpers, signs, street signs, the metal poles with the little signs on them, they're ripped off and they're being thrown at highway patrol vehicles. Like, oh, they're even throwing tear gas at. They have tear gas or gas. Look, they're just throwing all this stuff off the bridge. This isn't protesting, guys. Like, what happens? Like, if one of these guys takes it too far and pulls out a gun and like, there's all this shooting. Like, oh man, just pray for LA, guys. Pray for LA. People need Jesus out there, man. It talks about these kinds of things going on in the end times, lawlessness and, no respect. This is crazy. You know what I think happened? I'm pretty sure the police fired off the gas to get them to disperse, and someone with a mask, they probably had gloves and a mask, and they probably just picked back up the tear gas, and they just threw it back. Yeah, but that's debatable as well. Like, Talal, like, you're talking about Israel and, Palestine, and I'm talking to you about what's going on in LA, downtown LA. Like, we have to focus on certain things. Like, say, like, if you have a dispute with someone, you don't talk about something that's happening or that happened before. You work through things one thing at a time. And what we're presently talking about is like people are attacking highway patrol officers. These highway patrol officers are civil servants and they have families. What if they're killed? Look, they're throwing bicycles off balconies. If that lands on someone's neck, look at all these, like, look at the scooters. You know the little scooters that are in some of these bigger urban areas or cities that you rent, the birds? There's so many of those scooters laying on the ground. Wow. Look, they're carrying like lights. They're carrying pole lights. There's another scooter. See, that's why we can't have nice things. We can't have these scooters because these people that are buying scooters and letting people rent them out, they're getting destroyed. That's not protesting. Come on. And a lot of people are saying, oh, those aren't protesters. How many people are right there? Like 100 people on that bridge? There's like 100 people on that bridge. You're telling me those aren't protesters? Those are protesters that wanted to take it to a whole nother level and they're rioting. You can't, it doesn't matter what country you're in, you can't burn down 5 police vehicles and, destroy like 20 police vehicles and tag all over them and throw things at them. Like, come on, guys. If you're from America, like, you got to have somewhat care for the country you live in. I know it's far from perfect, but the riots, what are the riots for? Well, protesting is it doesn't matter what the cause is, right? You could be annoyed with protesting, but protesting is covered under the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. You can protest whatever you want. But rioting, these people are vandalizing and destroying things. That's not okay. That's not okay. They're putting a lot of people in harm's way, lighting cars on fire. They're blowing up. It's crazy. This is all happening downtown LA. So if you guys are new here, odds are you're probably seeing me for the very first time. Welcome. My name's Christian. I have another YouTube channel, but I feel that there's a strong need to focus on the signs of the times, what's going on, in society, and offering my perspective as a Christian. And now, before I turn many of you off by speaking about Christianity, I love Jesus, and I think when everyone who claims to follow or be a Christian, when they act like Jesus to the world, beautiful things happen. So that's why in the middle of the screen it says pray for LA. Pray for them. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Like, we need people out there talking to them, to the people that are protesting and rioting. People need Jesus, man. And if check this out. If say like a father and a son, right? If your son, say you're a father and your son riots because you took away his game system and starts destroying the house, breaking windows and punching holes in walls and all these kinds of things, and starts destroying your vehicle, whoa, what's going on? More people are walking out with flags. Looks like they're taking pictures. I wonder what happened, what caused them to disperse like that. Seems like a lot of these people are just like trying to enjoy a show. You know what I mean? Look, they're throwing stuff off the bridge. That's wild. Sorry guys, I'm just getting that's good that, looks like about half of those highway patrol vehicles are underneath the bridge, so Let's see. Someone's, yeah, look, see? This guy's prepared. He knows what to do. See? He's masked up and he has gloves. He's just throwing it right back over. Some people are concerned that this is some type of conspiracy from Trump and stuff. Like, come on, guys. This is just people that were part of a protest, and quite a handful of them wanted to riot, and burn vehicles down and take it to the next step. The civil servants here, you can tell they're just trying to toss up tear gas and that kind of stuff. Look at that. They're throwing a bunch of scooters and, bikes and breaking signs out of the ground and throwing, these metal poles at these highway patrol vehicles in LA. It's crazy. Keep praying for LA. I think there's about 8 million people. 8 million people that live in LA. 8 million. Wow. There's about like 38 million people that live in California. I'm a native here. I grew up here. I was born about 45 minutes from LA, so I'm very familiar with the area. Yeah, W. I hear you. I hear you. Just keep it civil. What's up? What's up, Raymond? Yeah, I think some people are walking away, but there's like significant amount. Looks like, how many people is this right here? Looks about, 200, 250 people still right there when they back out, and you can kind of see the whole bridge. The officers are like hiding underneath because, like, guess what? They don't want to go out there, and then they start getting stuff thrown at them, and then what are they going to do when they see their police buddies getting stuff thrown at them? What if one of the police officers, they get their neck broken because someone throws a scooter on them, Like, what are you going to do? The police force are probably going to have to retaliate, Fit VP said, who is paying for this? No one. That's ridiculous. Come on. Not everything has to be a conspiracy, guys. Like, not every riot is some conspiracy of someone being paid for. Like, guys, most conspiracies that people will try to tell you just 9 times out of 10, it's not even worth your time to even listen to those things. Well, it looks like a lot of people are running. They're getting off the bridge. Look at all the debris and scooters, bikes, poles, signs thrown on top of the highway patrol vehicles. There's people coming off. Yeah, it looks like the bridge is clearing off a little bit. Look at all that, guys. MG, like, what was that? Like, what was the point of that comment? I didn't even... Calm down before you comment. Okay, where's he running to? Okay, looks like he's running to another cruiser. Uh-oh. Yeah, guys, like, don't get lost in the weeds of starting to go to channels and debating, saying people are paying, professional mobs and all this kind of stuff. Like, well, it's not just there's 8 million people that live in LA. So that's why we need to pray for them. Because, like, as someone who does follow the Christian faith, I know many of you are not going to like that. But as someone who loves Jesus, I love my neighbor as myself. So I want to pray for people's safety. God wants people to follow Jesus. And so I'm always going to talk about that. So if you guys love Jesus, you guys like seeing this kind of stuff covered from a Christian perspective, praying for, these disasters that are happening, help me reach 1,000 subscribers so I can share the good news of Jesus Christ with the hundreds and hundreds of millions of people that come on YouTube every single day. There's hundreds and hundreds of millions of people that come on YouTube every single day. Guess how many downloads there are for YouTube? 10 billion. There's 10 billion downloads of YouTube. Check it out on your Apple Store or your Play Store. What's crazy is, like, there's people that are, like, destroying government property, and then they're just kind of like, they're just walking away, like they're not being charged with anything. What's up, Talal? You're saying you're not listening, Christian. What's up, Talal? What you got for me? Guys, if just keep it peaceful, and the mods won't delete your comment. But if you're cussing and all that stuff, they're probably going to delete your comment. Let me check out some of your guys' comments. Richard, no, that won't work. It's a new covenant. You just got to share Jesus with people, man. Yep, Keep It Real says there's a condition to enter the kingdom. Yep. Jesus is the way, the truth, and life. You got to accept Jesus. Hawkseye says Old Testament is Jewish religious fiction, has nothing to do with Jesus. No, that's not true at all. Talal, you said Jesus, praise be upon him, was a rebel. You want praise? You want praise be upon people who rebel against authority? What? How does that make sense? Coach is saying he's praying for law enforcement. Yeah, Talal, but so has Biden. Yeah, but Marisol, those charges that were brought up on him, all that stuff's been dismissed. So, not true. Paul Copeland has it correct. We are supposed to respect and pray for the people God puts into authority. Check this out, guys. When Jesus was around, guess who was ruling and reigning over Israel? Rome, the Roman Empire. Jesus didn't retaliate or rebel against Rome. he told them to respect the governing authorities. He said, pay your taxes, render Caesar to what is owned by Caesar. So when the government is here, like, guys, it's common sense. You can't throw rocks, bricks, bicycles, electric scooters, signs, poles at highway patrol officers. These people have families. They're civil servants. They're meant to protect. Because the Bible, Talal, you're asking how you're admitting that Biden is worse, yes. But you're saying how can Jesus be for this establishment? Because it says in the Bible that God allows all these government institutions to exist. He does that so there's rules. If there's no rules in justice system, nobody would be safe, right? What's that one movie where there's anarchy for like one day out of the year? There's just anarchy, and it's legal. You can't have that. You have to have law. You have to have rule and order. So, like, why are these people just hanging out right here with all this stuff going on? Man, look at this car just demolished. Still throwing stuff. They're still throwing stuff off the bridge. In another area on the street, there was 5 police vehicles that were vandalized and lit on fire. They were blowing up. Several other police vehicles destroyed, tagged on. Now it's moved on to the highway. All of these people are dispersed. Looks like they're all coming back now. Yep, I agree with you, Axe. Axe says there's no reason to riot and throw a fit because of said laws that are in place. Immigrants can come through the legal process. Otherwise, they are breaking the law, plain and simple. And yeah, like, oh, look at this. Molotov cocktails, guys. Look at that. Molotov cocktails. They're gonna light another. Oh, wait a second. That looks like just a flag. Oh, they're lighting cardboard on fire and trying to burn up a police vehicle. Just looks like a piece of cardboard. Okay, someone busted out a fire extinguisher. They're just throwing a bunch of rocks and all these things. Whoa. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, as someone who's, I'm, you guys will hear me reiterate a lot of points. Like, I'm someone who's half white, quarter Filipino, and a quarter mixture of Hispanic Latino, and we could see that, like, what was it, 3 out of 5. Was it about 40 to 60% of Mexican American males voted for Trump because they wanted, a president to put America first, to create more jobs and stability in our country, Like, I'll try to be as nice and as civil as I can, and encouraging, and treat everybody the way I would like to be treated. But like, I gotta be honest and truthful as well, guys. Like, look, they spray painted on this building. Look, they spray painted over here. It's about to get dark. Sunset time in LA's 8:03. So about in 10 minutes it's going to be dark. This is wild. Marisol and Talal, if you guys could just speak a little bit more on that. You're saying Trump started this. Look at that vehicle being destroyed and continuously destroyed. They're continuously throwing things on it. 5 police cars burned, and those are just the ones burned. Many more just destroyed and vandalized. Yeah, I don't know. How did Trump start that? What? Because he's wanting to deport illegal immigrants who got here illegally? You know how many illegal immigrants we have in California? Like 1 million. We have 1 million. There's no other country like that. There's no other country like that. Yeah, Act says, I'm all for immigration, but through the legal process, that's what keeps us safe. Yeah. Every country needs that. Sheila Thomas says, please speak. Yeah, is there anything you want to know in particular? Right now, what we're doing is we're watching what's currently going on here in LA. So it's saying agitators trying to set CHP cars on fire. I don't know if they're circling up. Oh, there they go. There's another one. Here's the 6th vehicle. A 6th vehicle being lit on fire. The CHP has to stand over here, because imagine if one of these heavy electric scooters that weigh over 100 pounds smacks them in the back of the head. These guys are throwing things at them. They're going to kill a police officer. They're literally going to kill a police officer. Like, look at all these guys. Wow. And you guys are saying, there's a couple people on here that are saying Trump started this? Are you kidding me? Look at all this stuff. Look at all this public property. Talal, that makes no sense. You're saying to let previous crimes go. That's not how justice works. You know, there's some crimes that don't get figured out for 20, 30 years. Just because you don't figure them out right away doesn't mean they can go unpunished. There's been many murders and many types of these things. I think everyone needs the gospel. I think everybody needs Jesus. Everybody needs Jesus in their life. I'm always going to preach that. It's not a people problem, it's a sin problem. People have sin in their heart. They rebel. You know, a lot of these people, they look up to I'm talking about these people here on this section of the bridge that keep trying to start that on fire. All these people are just watching. All these people alongside the highway right here, a lot of them are just watching. They just enjoy the show. It's free entertainment. But these people right here, they're the ones putting on the show. They're the ones trying to catch this on fire. So they're just like, this is free entertainment. You know, who knows? Many of these people will call in. Whoa, look at that. Did you guys see that explosion? Look at these explosions going off. Sorry, you can't blame anybody else for your actions. These guys are just trying to fit in. They know what they're doing. They're wearing masks, bandanas. They're hiding their identity. Yeah, Jimmy, you're right. Yeah, I don't think it's right either to pay, illegal immigrants at a lower wage to do the job. I mean, they're going to take the job out of desperation because they want to, they're in America. They want the American dream. So, but yeah, like the businesses that are profiting off of cheap labor and doing that, I think that's unjust as well. Like, that's ridiculous. They're paying them under the table and that kind of stuff. Like, that's not cool. I'm all for helping people. Like, helping people get their citizenship. I've seen Cambodian people that I've gone to church with get their citizenship. People that had DACA get their citizenship. I want people to, if you really care about people, help them get their citizenship. Help them get a job. Help them in life. Don't just like advocate for, Joe Biden. A lot of Christians won't vote for Joe Biden because of the stuff that he allowed. The high inflation. Look at all these explosions, guys. They're throwing things at CHP vehicles and causing explosions. That's crazy. Wow. LA traffic's already slow enough. Imagine all the freeways backed up. So many people are probably going to get home so late. That's one thing I hate about going to LA. Is the traffic. It's horrible. It's horrible. It'll totally destroy your visit. You'll have a fun time visiting, but then when you go to drive, that traffic's horrible. Yeah, Sonny said this. Sonny said those businesses that are profiting off of cheap labor, corrupt companies that are paying lower. They're not even paying a fair, livable wage. They're using someone who's here illegally, and they're paying them cheaper to profit more. That is horrible. That is not loving your neighbor as yourself. Sonny is saying in response to that, those businesses should be running out of business. They are cheats and thieves and don't value a laborer's wage. These, undocumented immigrants send American dollars back to their country. So, if you guys are just tuning in, just covering kind of what's going on in downtown LA, there was protest, but now there's just pockets of rioters all over. They're working on their 6th and 7th police car to blow up 5 police cars were already lit on fire. As they're putting out the fire, people are standing and, facing off with firefighters over the debris. Just craziness. They keep throwing tear gas to get people to move away, but there's guys that are just walking up and grabbing it and throwing it right back at them. Looks like we got a task force going on one side of the highway. They're actually making their way to go on top of the bridge. Looks like we're gonna have a little face-off. People are running. Looks like they're shooting tear gas. Look, he's gonna. I think he's gonna pick it up and throw it. Oh, looks like they're running. They're getting out of there. I kind of like what the police force is doing here. They're just standing their ground, right? They're just trying to just get people to get away, and they're shooting, tear gas. After all, the attempts to burn up and blow up the cars, they're shooting it to get them to keep moving, to keep going. So they're just standing their ground, right? They're not shooting guns. They're just trying to move them back. They're just trying to create order. They're trying to get all this to stop. What my prayer is for there's 8 million people in LA. This is only a small fraction of people here. These people, that just ran. They're so tough that they're trying to blow up the cop cars and stuff, but when they come, they run. You know what I mean? Like, these aren't courageous people. They're just trying to cause a bunch of havoc. And they're being dealt with, and they're running, so it's just sad that our country's going through this. Okay, it looks like they're doing a flank on the left and the right side of the highway. Now they're pushing through the center, and a lot of the rioters are running away. I don't know if the Marines are there yet. Oh yeah, it looks like the Marines. I'm seeing, this looks like mostly the police force. So it looks like they cleared off the bridge now. I'm pretty sure no one's going to want to stay and retaliate against all that. Yeah, you're right, Axe. Oh, amen, Jimmy. Right on, Jimmy. Jimmy Alba says, I'm a tax advisor and have helped people with citizenship, starting with ITINs. Paying taxes is a huge step and helps push citizenship. Many are too misguided coming into this country. Yeah. Yeah, I've worked with people who use other people's social security. I've worked with many people that are illegal. They think Republicans are monsters and this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, man. First of all, I'm just someone who follows Jesus. I'm more conservative in my values as far as politics go. Like, I won't vote for abortion and that kind of stuff because I like protecting unborn babies. But yeah, I have worked with many people that are illegal, and they've told me how they use fake social security numbers from other people, and they're just in fear. They're living in fear every day that they could get caught and get deported. So when we love our neighbors as ourselves, like, we would want to help those people become citizens, as long as they're trying to be a benefit to society, right? Like a third of Mexico is controlled by the cartel, right? I care about the people on the same continent that my wife and I, we want to go to Mexico. We're like 6 hours, maybe 9 hours from Mexico. We want to go, even on missions trips. We want to go, but for the sake of, if it was just me, I would go. But for the sake of my wife and my son, I can't go because I don't want to put their lives in danger when a third of the cartel owns over the country, and they have guns, and we can get robbed and stuff. So, people that are fleeing and seeking asylum from places like that, and they're fleeing to our country, America is trying to help Mexico, but Mexico won't accept America's support. They just got a new president there, and I think an Israeli woman. I mean, we'll see. She's kind of his predecessor, so she's not too fond of Trump or wanting to take his help either, so we'll see. Looks like this video is freezing up a little bit. All right, it's back going. The bridge is cleared off. Looks like they're just kind of moving the vehicles out of there. All right, things are looking like they're getting better. Yeah, Fox News is also deceiving. Yeah, they're clearly Republican on there. Yeah. So what do I do when I look at all these things? I just come to it with a biblical worldview. And the reason why I respect the governing authorities is because it says to in the Bible. And Jesus did that, He didn't overthrow Rome. He submitted. He submitted to them, and they crucified him. Rome is the one who crucified him. And the Pharisees, they convinced the people to vote to have Jesus crucified. So I'm always going to give you guys a Christian perspective, a biblical perspective. This is 3 to 3.5 hours away from me, so I wanted to cover it. Looks like LAPD is giving an update. On the protests. Yeah, if you guys can help me with this channel, just consider subscribing, like the video. Helps YouTube know that, hey, you guys like hearing from a Christian perspective on these matters. So I appreciate you guys. Have I ever looked into the miracles of Jesus based on Muslims' belief? No, what I read about Muslims, and I looked a lot more into it, but just right off the cuff, just asking me. The reason why I never became a Muslim or agree is that Islam came 600 years after Jesus. So we're talking 6 centuries after Jesus. And in Galatians 1:8, it says, if anyone comes to you with a different gospel from the one you first heard, you don't accept it. and that was written in 60 to 70 AD, which is just a few decades after Jesus. From someone who met Jesus, they wrote that. And it's God says he'll preserve his word, so he has preserved his word. The job of scribes, such a serious task. They were watched, and it looks like we still got some explosions going on. Looks like the cops are firing tear gas and some type of flashbangs, and people are grabbing them and throwing them back. But it looks like they're pushing forward and they're pushing people back. But another reason is Muhammad. He created this this religion, and man, dude, they're hurting government horses now. Yeah, but the kind of the nail in the coffin as far as Muhammad goes, and Talal, I appreciate how respectful you're being. Oh, another fire. There was another fire going on. Looks like some people didn't want to leave without starting a fire. You got some civilians here running. Oh, looks like a lot of police officers, actually. Whoa. Man, Lord, I pray that none of the police officers hurt, they can return back home to their families. They're just doing their jobs. They're trying to stop all the chaos and rioting. But the nail in the coffin for me for not following Islam is he said you could only have 4 wives, but he had like 9, and one of them was 6 years old. Jesus never had any wives. He was God in the flesh, and the scriptures back it up. John 10:30 says, I and the Father are one. He said, if you've seen the Father, or if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And the Pharisees and the Jews were going to pick up stones to stone him. And, he said, why are you trying to stone me? And they said, because you're claiming to be God. So, which the Bible prophesies about Jesus coming and being God. So, who could take our place of sin, right? We all sin, we all fall short of the glory of God. Who could be the perfect sacrifice? God set the standard of holiness, and then he came and fulfilled it on our behalf. Yeah, I think you guys are being pretty fair with your responses. Axon, Talal. Talal, I appreciate you being civil. I think you kind of came in when, other people were being a little more spicy commenting, so I appreciate you being civil. A lot of people that grow up a certain way and believe a certain things, it's because their families believe in it, right? But as we become adults, we have to use critical thinking and process, right? Where do our worldviews come from? Where do our belief systems come from? We've got to think about those things. I want to thank each and every one of the people that saw this video and subscribed. That's going to help this channel out a lot. If you guys know me from my other channel, I have a heart to evangelize on here, reach the hundreds of millions of people. I want this channel to be specifically about evangelizing, covering these kind of topics, from a Christian perspective, praying. I care about each and every one of you. It's not low IQ to law. Come on, be nice. She was 6 years old when he got married to her. That's not low IQ. That's just wrong. Talal, you said your grief with the Trinity. Yeah, it's a very common argument, but God is representative in three persons, right? I am a father, I am a son, I am a friend, I am a employee, I am a Christian. I can be many things, but I am one person. Okay? God is the Father, He's the Son. I am a father and I am a son. So I share two of those things. I also have a spirit. The Holy Spirit is the third part of the Trinity. So I share those same three things. I am a father, I am a son, and I have a spirit. The spirit is within me, right? You take my body away from me, my spirit lives. So understanding the Trinity it's not that hard. God is the Father, God is the Son, God is the Holy Spirit. No. Talal, when Jesus, when he prays to the Father, when Jesus prays to the Father, he says the reason why he does this is he shows them how to pray. He's doing it to teach them how to pray. That's why Jesus is praying to God. He's look up Talal, look up I'll tell you right now, and when he raises Lazarus, when Martha and Mary's brother Lazarus dies, they go and tell Jesus, "Oh, you're too late. He died already." Jesus waited until like the fourth day, when his body was already starting to decompose. So after 3 days, your body starts decomposing. So Jesus went there on the fourth day, and they said, "Oh, it's too late, Jesus. His body's already began to decompose." And they were all crying and they were sad. And it says that Jesus, it says the shortest verse, he wept. He cried. But the main part of that is, he says, "God, I know that you hear what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying." He and the Father are one. But he says, "But for them, I say these things." He's saying these things out loud for the people, right? Jesus is living as God, but he's teaching everyone. He's saying, they're like, "Man, how do we pray?" He's like, "This is how you should pray. Our Father, who art in heaven." So he's the Son. Jesus is the Son. He's reflecting, he's being obedient to the Father. He's saying, hey, God from before creation, he always had a plan. He knew the devil was going to come deceive many people. He knew, all these things were going to happen. He's the Father. What is the Father? The Father of creation. The Father of creation. That's who he's saying. He's saying the title. See, I'm a son, Talal. I'm a son, and I'm a father, right? I could speak to the Son in me can speak to the Father that I am. I can say, hey, Christian, just because your mom and dad abandoned you doesn't give you the right to be a victim for the rest of your life and affect you as being a father. The Son in me can speak to the Father in me, especially if I'm using my story as an example to other people, and I'm saying, hey, the son that I was, growing up, I can't allow my circumstances to dictate me as a father. I got to rise above. I can't just pretend I'm a victim, That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Jesus is sharing those things with the people. He's saying, you always start your prayer off with, "Our Father who art in heaven." So who are you praying to? The Father of creation in heaven. Okay? it totally lines up with the Bible. Trust me, it totally lines up with the Bible. I'm not trying to argue. I'm not trying to argue from authority, but if you just take a quick look on my wall, ever since I got saved 14 years ago, I've lived radically for Jesus. And I've read the Bible. I've done a lot of apologetics, defending the Christian faith. I've looked at other worldviews. And I'm letting you know right now, the reason why I follow Jesus is because there's no other historical manuscript preserved like the Bible. I looked at evolution. There's nothing in evolution that would that makes sense, right? You and I are similar. We're monotheists, right? Or we believe in monotheism, which is one God. We believe in one God. God is one, representative in three persons. How many people do I represent? I represent being a son. I represent being a father. I represent being a husband. I represent being an employee. You're saying I can't be an employee and a father at the same time? I can't be a son and a father at the same time? What are you talking about? Of course I can. And God created me in his image. That's why I can he created me to be in community. I have a wife. I have a son. So, like, don't overcomplicate it because the word Trinity, it's really not that hard to follow. God is representative in three persons. Are you only a father? You can never be an employee. You can't be a friend. You can't be a son. You can't be a brother. Dude, I'm a father, son, brother, cousin. It's really not that hard to understand. Yeah, and Jesus does these things to show us how to pray to God. All right, guys, let's get back over here to the Talal. This is good, man. This is good. Like, the odds are you grew up Muslim, right? I wasn't always a Christian. I didn't become a Christian until I was 20. But dude, you're asking questions, you know, you're being polite, you're being civil, you know. Ooh, it's getting dark, guys. They're coming back. There's all these barricades. Let's see. This looks about like 150 people maybe. Looks like the rioting groups are just getting smaller and smaller. It's just a chess match. The police force is going to win, of course. So it looks about maybe around 200 people, but they're probably firing tear gas. They're making them run again. You think these guys have jobs to go start at 7 a.m.? I don't think so. Guys, I want to thank you guys all for watching this. I want to thank you for the dialogue. Thank you to Law for joining us. As always, thank you Paunch and Sunny Days. Such a huge blessing. These guys love Jesus Christ, and I'm just grateful for them as brothers in Christ, and as them volunteering their time as moderators, defenders of the Lord. So I'm just grateful for the digital community. Thank you all for checking out the channel, and for your prayers, and for the hopefully new subscribers. Looks like we had about 6,221 people come alongside and check out the channel today. So hopefully we got some subscribers. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will allow me to have a way more broader reach to YouTube. Thank you, Talal. Thank you for hanging out with us, man. I appreciate how civil and how you've been dialoguing this whole time. You've showed a lot of humility in being able to save, hey, here's where I think some things are wrong, here's where I think some things are right, And so thank you for joining us, man. God bless you. Thank you for even entertaining and listening to other worldviews from a Christian perspective. So bless you, man. I'm always gonna want you to become a Christian, to follow Jesus Christ. So we love you, man. I grew up a certain way and I followed a certain worldviews, but after I became a Christian at age 20, my life radically changed, man. And there's no other worldview like the Christian worldview, and that is in Jesus Christ. So Captain Raul Jovel is giving an update. It is dark. They got the helicopter in the sky. Looks like they got a lot of things blocked off. They're trying to clean all the debris off the highway. Firefighters got all the 5 police cars that were burned down. Oh, looks like another fire started. Looks like they started another fire, guys. Look at all these guys. When there's people like this in the community that just want to see things burn, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. They're just starting trouble. I got to go hang out with the family, guys. I got to get ready for work tomorrow. I'm going to be doing some work at a radio tower. I'm going to be running some rigid at a radio tower. So let me say a prayer. Father God, I just want to thank you for who you are, what you've done. God, I pray for LA right now, Lord. I pray that all of the people that are committing crimes and causing all this chaos, that you would convict them, Lord. That I just pray that they would humble themselves and follow you. Jesus, I pray that there wouldn't be any casualties. I pray that you would keep the police officers safe. And I just pray for this madness to stop. Lord, I just pray for wisdom and understanding of those that are illegally entering the country. It appears that they're being dealt with, Lord. I just pray for those that are here legally, who have family members that are here illegally, that you would just be with them, comfort them, give them wisdom to understand like the laws of the land. And I pray, Lord, that you would encourage them to help out their family members find pathways to citizenship so that they don't have to live in fear as illegal immigrants, as people sneaking into a country. I pray that they would have pathways to citizenship, and I thank you for those pathways, Lord. So we love you. We pray for the safety of LA. Send people to share the gospel with the 8 million people that live there. And I just pray for everyone watching that you would help them have a good night's rest, great conversation with their families, and that everyone would put you first tonight, and also in their rising as we start our busy week Monday tomorrow. So we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys for hanging out. Let's continue to pray for LA. Thank you for your support and for your encouragement. If you guys want to hear things about what's going on in the world from a Christian worldview, I'm someone who grew up in the system. I love Jesus Christ. He changed my life. He was the only thing that changed my life, not social workers. I can tell you guys stories about what social workers did in my life and all these kinds of things, and growing up in group homes, abandoned as a child. The only thing that changed me was Jesus. And I think people that are doing riots, that want to see things burn. We see people lighting fires. They've blown up 5 police cars already. People need Jesus, man. And that's what radically changed my life. God bless you, Sonny. God bless you, Ponch. Talal. If you guys want to keep following this, just look up on YouTube, type it in. You guys will see another stream, all right? I got to go hang out with the fam. God bless you, everyone. Thanks for checking out the video. Help me reach my goal of getting 1,000 subscribers so I can reach the hundreds of millions of people on here and share the gospel. If you guys are just tuning in right now, help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers so I can reach the hundreds of millions of people on YouTube. YouTube limits small channels. Help me get the gospel of Jesus Christ out there. I love you guys so much. I pray you guys all have a great week. Pray for LA and all the riots and all the fires that are going on. The police are shutting it down, but people are still... looks like the groups are getting a little bit smaller, but looks like it's confined to one area right now. They keep getting pushed back, and they're just doing this in the streets. So it's a whole lot better than what it was. I love you guys. You guys have a blessed night. Pray for LA.